From our Washington, D.C. studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. A new poll shows Mamdani ahead with 40%, topping Cuomo and Adams. This and more are coming up in today's news. Stay tuned. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has issued a new order ending bond hearings for undocumented immigrants. The memo signed July 8th by ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons says immigrants who enter the country illegally must remain in detention. They will stay in custody during their entire deportation process. Immigration judges can no longer release them on bond. According to the Washington Post, which first reported the memo, only ICE officers can approve rare exceptions. ICE confirmed the change, calling it a security measure. Officials say it aligns with long-standing immigration law. Experts call the move unconstitutional and authoritarian. Lawyers say bond hearings are already being denied in New York, Virginia, Ohio, and Georgia. Legal groups warn that the rule allows infinite detention. It is expected to face major legal challenges in U.S. courts. House Speaker Mike Johnson has broken ranks with President Donald Trump over the Jeffrey Epstein files. In a podcast interview, Johnson says it is a delicate subject, but stressed we should put everything out there and let the people decide. The call for transparency came after Attorney General Pam Bondi denied the existence of convicted child sex offender Epstein's so-called client list, despite previously claiming it was on her desk. Johnson said Bondi needs to come forward and explain. But critics say Johnson's words do not match his actions. Just days ago, he voted with House Republicans to block a Democratic resolution demanding the Justice Department release all Epstein-related documents within 30 days. Democrats, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, slammed the GOP for shielding the powerful. Meanwhile, the DOJ is under pressure over tampered video evidence linked to Epstein's death, raising new concerns. In more news from the House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries has slammed President Donald Trump over his handling of Russia and Ukraine. Speaking on Capitol Hill last week, Jeffries said Trump spent his first 6 months in office playing footsies with Vladimir Putin, while the Russian leader unleashed terror on Ukraine. Jeffries accused Trump of failing to uphold his promises, including peace in Ukraine. His comments come as bipartisan senators introduced a bill to slap 500% tariffs on all goods from countries buying Russian oil and gas, escalating pressure on the Kremlin. Jeffries mocked Trump's sudden shift to a tougher stance, asking if he just now figured out that Ukraine is a friend and Russia an enemy. He urged Congress to act independently and impose strong sanctions on Moscow. In big news from the Justice Department, the federal agencies have been told to scale back multilingual outreach and explore English-only operations. Attorney General Pam Bondi issued the directive following President Donald Trump's executive order making English the official language of the United States. Bondi called English the foundation of public discourse and said the move would cut administrative costs and boost integration. The Justice Department also suspended earlier civil rights guidance and paused the lep.gov site, which helped those with limited English skills. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon claimed the aim is to empower new Americans and promote civic unity. The March executive order reversed a 25-year-old policy from former President Clinton that required language services for non-English speakers. Critics say that the move risks marginalizing millions of Americans who rely on such services, especially in healthcare, education, and immigration. The United States government has officially ended Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, for Afghans. The move took effect after a Department of Homeland Security review determined that conditions in Afghanistan have improved. TPS is a humanitarian measure meant for countries facing war, disaster, or unsafe conditions for return. More than 9,000 Afghans could face deportation unless they qualify for another legal status. The TPS program, which offers legal stay and work rights due to war and instability, had been in place since May 2022. It was last extended through May 20th, 2024, with a 60-day grace period ending this week. Afghans and stateless individuals who previously lived in Afghanistan must now leave the U.S. or risk removal. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced the decision in May. The U.S. has also ended TPS protections for Nicaraguans and Hondurans. A similar decision for Haiti was blocked by a federal judge in June. A new poll data reveals that Zohran Mamdani leads the 2025 New York City mayoral race with 40% support. The 33-year-old Democratic Socialist beat former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary last month and now tops the field. Cuomo, who is expected to launch an independent run, is polling second at 24%. Mayor Eric Adams, running as an independent after his primary exit, holds third place at 15%. Republican Curtis Silva follows with 14%, while Jim Walden trails at 1%. Mamdani is also the only candidate with a positive favorability rating, 49-40. Adams, whose fraud charges were dropped in April, is appealing to centrists and gaining popularity among Republicans. Cuomo may pledge to exit the race by September if he does not become the top challenger. Mamdani's primary win defied expectations and drew strong youth and progressive support. The McBride sisters from Buffalo fought hijab bans and uniform rules to compete. Now they're making history and inspiring change in American wrestling. Details coming up next.
Muna Convention 2025. Torchbearer of Islam. With this powerful theme, Muna Convention returns this year on August 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia. Join us for an unforgettable weekend featuring over 30 esteemed scholars from across the globe, delivering powerful lectures and inspiring hearts. More than 25,000 attendees are expected to gather in one of the largest Islamic conventions in North America. Experience a full and dynamic program including dedicated youth conferences, parallel sessions for diverse interests, special Young Sisters program, on-site health clinics, delicious halal food, a vibrant children's learn and fun zone, and an expansive bazaar and expo. Register now at munaconvention.com and get 20% off for limited time. Spots are filling up quickly. Don't wait to register. Join us at Muna Convention 2025. Where faith, unity, and action meet.
Minnesota's top Muslim civil rights group is speaking out against what it calls racist and Islamophobic attacks on State Senator Omar Fateh. The Council on American Islamic Relations Minnesota chapter says that the Somali-American lawmaker has been targeted with baseless claims questioning his loyalty and character. The group calls the rhetoric dangerous and part of a nationwide trend of anti-Muslim fear-mongering. CAIR-Minnesota Executive Director Jilani Hussain says that these attacks are not only false, they are fueling political violence. He pointed to a recent deadly incident in the state. These incidents include the killing of State Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark Hortman, as well as the shooting of State Senator John Hoffman, warning that hateful rhetoric is putting lives at risk. Hussaini also called on elected officials and media outlets to reject all forms of anti-Muslim hate. Inflation rose sharply in June with signs that President Donald Trump's tariffs are beginning to hit American consumers. The Labor Department says consumer prices were up 2.7% from a year ago, a faster pace than May. Prices also rose 0.3% month to month. Rising rents drove much of the increase, but import-heavy items like clothing, appliances, and toys also saw price jumps. Energy and food costs climbed, while car prices and airfares dropped. Gasoline rebounded after months of decline. Electricity costs also jumped 1%, driven by the summer heat. The U.S. collected $27 billion in tariffs in June, 4 times more than last year. The average tariff is now the highest since the Great Depression. Trump plans more hikes by August 1st. Despite White House pressure to cut interest rates, the Federal Reserve is expected to keep rates steady this month amid rising inflation. 3 Muslim sisters from Buffalo, New York are changing the face of American women's wrestling. Jamila, Zaina, and Latifa McBride are observant Muslims and homeschoolers who were told they could not wrestle in college because of their hijabs and the required singlet uniform, but they refused to give up. Inspired by Iranian athletes, they designed modest, full-bodied uniforms and fought to have them accepted. With help from coaches like Life University's Ashley Flavin, wrestling bodies such as the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics approved the new gear in 2022. The sisters enrolled at Life University that fall. Jamila McBride won a national title and qualified for the U.S. Olympic trials, but international rules blocked her over uniform concerns. Despite the setbacks, the sisters are pushing forward, taping down their hijabs, training hard, and planning to stay in the sport. Israel killed at least 51 Palestinians in attack across Gaza since dawn, according to medical sources. Among them were 21 people crushed in a stampede at the Israeli and U.S.-supported Gaza Humanitarian Foundation Aid Center in southern Gaza. The group says 19 were trampled and 1 was stabbed during the chaos. The total death toll in Gaza over the past 24 hours has reached 94, with more than 250 others injured, according to Gaza's health ministry. Meanwhile, the Israeli army has opened a new corridor cutting across Khan Yunis. Named Megan Oz, the route divides the city and, according to the army, aims to defeat Hamas forces in the area. Gaza now has multiple military corridors, tightening Israeli control. A UN-backed report warns that 10 children a day are losing limbs due to Israel's attacks. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed more than 64,000 Palestinians, the majority of them women, children, and the elderly, according to a major study published in the British medical journal The Lancet in January. According to Gaza's health ministry, over 139,000 have been wounded. Israel faces war crime charges at the International Criminal Court and genocide case at the International Court of Justice. Israel has reportedly transferred authority over the Ibrahimi Mosque in Hebron from the Palestinian-run municipality to a religious council run by Israeli settlers. According to Israel Hayom, the move marks an unprecedented change. Control now lies with the council of the nearby Kiryat Arba settlement. The transfer is said to enable structural changes at the site, though details remain unclear. This is the biggest shift in the mosque status since 1994, when the Shamgar Commission divided worship space between Jews and Muslims. The division followed the massacre of 29 Palestinian worshippers by Israeli settler Baruch Goldstein during prayers at the mosque in Ramadan that year. Palestinians fear the move signals further Judaization of the occupied West Bank city. The mosque, also known as the Cave of the Patriarchs, remains a flashpoint. No official Israeli confirmation has been given. The Palestinian Authority says that the mosque is an exclusive Islamic endowment and condemned any attempt to alter its identity. Israel has banned Palestinians in Gaza from entering the Mediterranean Sea under threat of being shot. Rights advocates worldwide condemned the move, calling it brutal sadism. The Israeli army issued the warning Saturday, calling it a security measure, and urged fishermen, swimmers, and divers to stay away. Gaza's fishermen syndicate head Zakaria Bakr said this is about slow suffocation. Observers say the ban serves no military purpose and amounts to economic and psychological warfare. Locals say the sea was a lifeline, not just for food, but to escape the heat and trauma of Israel's genocide in the region. With Gaza's water and sanitation infrastructure destroyed, many use the sea to bathe and cool off. Gaza has been under blockade since 2007, but sea restrictions tightened after the October 7, 2023 attacks. Since then, more than 210 Palestinian fishermen have been killed, according to the United Nations. In a move seen as Israel's attempt to destabilize the Syrian government, the Israeli military launched major airstrikes on Syria Wednesday. The attacks hit the capital Damascus and the Druze majority city of Sawelda. Syrian media reported explosions at the presidential palace and the army headquarters in Damascus, with smoke seen rising across the capital. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz called the strikes a response to government attacks on Druze groups in Sawelda. He said Israel would deliver painful blows until Syrian forces withdraw from the province. Footage showed chaos near Umayyad Square, with more blasts reported later in the day. Syria confirmed civilian casualties, calling the attacks criminal and illegal. Tensions also flared at the Israeli-Syrian border, where dozens of Israeli Druze tried to cross into Syria to aid relatives. Turkey condemned the strikes, accusing Israel of sabotaging Syria's recovery. Israel claims it is reinforcing its border and will keep targeting Syrian military positions to defend the Druze population. The attack comes just days after President Donald Trump lifted sanctions on Syria and expressed hope for renewed stability under President Ahmed Hussein al-Sharra. The Russian State Duma has passed a law extending the country's Islamic bank experiment by 3 years, now running through September 1, 2028. The pilot project, which began in 2023, is underway in Bashkiria, Dagestan, Tatarstan, and Chechnya. Officials say that the extension will help attract investments from Islamic nations and boost international cooperation. The law also strengthens the framework for Islamic finance. A special committee will set banking standards in coordination with the Bank of Russia. These rules will guide top banks already in the experiment by 2025. The law allows more financial operations, including mutual insurance, opening accounts, and managing securities. The law takes effect upon official publication. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We're a channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.